the anonymity with sharing into the void
Yeah.
is one thing, but sharing with those nearest and dearest to you, it's like intense.
It is.
It feels really vulnerable. Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Having a Mentee Be with Sarah and Kim. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Kim, and today we're here to have a frank conversation about our hopes and fears about the podcast.
We'd like to start by clarifying that we're by no means mental health experts. This is our own individual takes on our own mental health challenges because we've both been dealing with mental health since we were young adults. Okay, so in today's mentee tea, Kim,
Yes.
how's the tea?
I don't know. The tea is... the glass is half empty today.
The glass is half empty.
The glass is half empty today. I don't know. Today was kind of a rough day for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Has anything changed recently?
Yes. My medication changed slightly, not like a significant amount, but slightly recently. And I felt like it was going well, but it's always worse around my period, which I think maybe we talked about before.
Yeah.
And I had my period this past week. So I think
I'm sorry.
it's always worse around that time because of my hormones. And then Tyler has been in a grumpy mood too. And so because I constantly look for other people to tell me my value, that's been hard because he can't deal with me if he's dealing with his own stuff.
Okay.
How about you? How was your tea?
So I finally started my treatment program.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the first day was such a cluster for me.
Was it?
It was so bad I almost never went back.
Oh no. So this was Monday, right?
Tuesday.
Oh, it was Tuesday was your first day?
Tuesday was my first day. So I had to meet with the psychiatrist ahead of time.
Okay.
So I had to be there an hour before the program started.
Okay.
So
this is like your psychiatrist that you already had, or is this a new psychiatrist?
Is the psychiatrist for the program.
Okay, all right.
To like get my meds and figure out like whatever. So I went there early because they were like, make sure you're early so that you like don't miss your appointment. And parking, there's construction, so parking's going to be a mess.
Oh,
and I was like, okay.
It's always bad down there.
Yeah. So the garage that I normally park in, that's like a block and a half, 2 blocks from the hospital.
Yeah.
Was full. So I went to the backup garage that they recommended and it was full.
Oh no.
And I ended up parking on the exact other side of campus and walking across campus.
Ew. I'm sorry.
My Fitbit logged me at walking 2 miles that day.
Oh my God.
And it was so like I was walking there. It was
I wouldn't want to do that just for the college kids. I would be like, ew. I don't
No, it was so bad. And I was in so much pain with my leg that like by the time I got halfway across the oval, I was crying. And I was like, this sucks.
Do they not have handicap parking up close? Like I thought they had a handicapped accessible lot that's right in front of the building.
They do, but it's closed because of construction.
Oh, the handicap is too?
Everything was like, there was disability parking, but I didn't want to use it because I was like, what about old people, whatever.
You should use it.
Well, I did the other 2 days.
Yeah, I would have.
So like I cried across campus. Then I got there.
Sorry, that sucks.
Then I had to spill my backstory to the psychiatrist. So I cried.
Yeah.
And then I was in a group of 10 other people that I didn't know. And it was so freaking awkward. And they were like, the first day you're an observer. And I was like, great, that works well for me.
Yeah.
But it had been 2 other people's first day the day before. So they were like introducing themselves.
Okay.
So I like watched them introduce themselves and like how like everybody asked them questions and they like gave their backstory. And then I had like so much anxiety.
Oh, for
because I knew that I had to do that the next day.
Yeah.
And I literally like I like walked crying after the program ended, walked crying back across campus because I was A, upset and B, in pain. And then I cried all the way home in the car. And then I got home and I cried and Matanda was like, you just need to go to bed. Like, and I was driving home in the dark and I can't see in the dark. And it was just, I hated it.
And it's more stressful too
it was
to
so
drive
stressful.
in the dark.
And so I was like, I'm just never going back. And Matanda was like, go to bed, take a minute, give it one more day. We'll see, like one more day. And so then day 2, I had to introduce myself and I was like so freaking nervous. And they were like, there's like the facilitator of the group they're super nice, but I hate talking in front of people.
Yeah, for sure. Especially about like very potentially triggering things.
Yeah. And I'm like, so anyways, but like I told as like a little bit of my background, and I felt like, honestly, compared to the people that had gone the day before, I was like, I don't even know if my stuff is serious enough to merit this level of care, because like I don't even know what triggered me. Like everybody had bad things that had happened to them, and I'm like,
okay,
I just suck. And they were
No.
like, and everybody was like, no, it's okay. And like, then everybody was like
It's not
super
necessarily
nice
always like that.
and super kind. And then I was like, okay. And I'd parked in a disability lot that day, so I didn't have to walk as far. And
So
it
you
was
didn't
like,
necessarily have the pain
I wasn't
issue.
in physical pain as much. I was still like in pain because my foot was still swollen from the day before. And then the third day I went was like the first day I felt comfortable, because I knew I wasn't going to be put on the spot.
So what happened on the third day? Did you share at all, or
Not really.
you
I
just
mean,
kind of
I
sat back?
participated a little bit because they like will ask you questions.
Okay.
But I didn't feel like I needed to like spill my guts.
Okay.
So like so the way the program works is there's like an introduction part, and then there's a share out part.
Okay.
And then there's like an instruction part where it's like a college class almost.
Oh,
And you
okay.
like learn about different things and how to like
They like kind of
do
lecture,
stuff.
like
Yeah.
a lecture style.
You lecture,
Okay.
but like then you ask questions and they give feedback and stuff like that. So have you gone to therapy lately?
Yeah, I went to therapy on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. How'd that
And
go?
we talked about podcasting, and that was the thing I was telling you earlier. That was when so I told her, talking about some of the events that we've been talking about, like it was like kind of making me think more about being a child. And I told her, I was like, after we talked about it, like I felt fine. I was like, I actually felt some relief from sharing some of this with somebody else.
Yeah.
But I did tell her that like I was having trouble because it was in the forefront of my mind. Maybe that's what it is. Actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, I think that's part of what it is. Is like this week why I have been struggling a little bit, because we talked about some kind of heavy stuff last week.
We brought up trauma.
We did. And so I think I've worked on a lot of stuff in therapy, but some of the stuff we haven't got to yet is a lot of the stuff that happened that was like physical abuse.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard for me to talk about that stuff because I don't necessarily know that I've worked through it yet on my own.
And do you have the tools to process the trauma?
Like I said, I actually felt better after we talked about it, but I think part of it was like, with it being in the forefront of my mind, what's happening is not necessarily that like us talking about it is bothering me, but it's that with it being in the front of my mind, I'll leave here and go do something.
Yeah.
And then it will make me think of another story.
Oh.
Just because
you've stirred the pot a little bit.
I've stirred the pot a little bit, so now gunk is floating up.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I was telling her like one of the stories that I was thinking of, and like in her office, I was getting like pissed. And she because I remember she said to me, she's like, "Oh, Kim, where'd you go?" And I was like, "I'm just mad. I'm just very mad."
So the other thing that I was going to tell you about group was that like I really like how they do the intro thing. Like I've never gone to a 12-step program, but in my head, this is like similar to how a 12-step program works.
Like what is it, like Alcoholics Anonymous or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuff like Al-Anon, stuff like that. So you introduce yourself.
Okay.
And then they have you like tell what your emotions are.
Like in that moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know how hard it is for me to tell what my emotions are?
Like to identify them or to share them?
Both.
Yeah.
Emotions are hard.
They are hard. I always have trouble identifying mine.
Yeah. And then you say what your hope score is on a scale of 1 to 5.
Is
like how hopeful 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest.
Okay. What was your hope score on Friday?
It was like a 3.5.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I was excited. It was on Thursday.
Okay.
Because Fridays are off.
Oh, okay. So you went Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday last week?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it was a 3.5. My cousin was coming over to watch the USA-Canada hockey game. Go Canada! Okay. So I was excited about that, and it was like the first day that I didn't feel like the most awkward, useless human.
Well, that's good. I feel like at 3.5, that's good. That's better than half.
Yeah, you're right. It is. So I was like,
You are more than half hopeful.
Thanks, Kim. What's your hope score?
Today, I don't know. I'm not unhopeful, just feeling out of it. My hope score would probably be somewhere in the middle, maybe like a 3 or something.
I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad. My hope is not lacking, I guess.
I mean, that's good.
Right?
That's good. Yeah. And then like the last thing you do is you say something that you're grateful for, but it's like something about yourself that you're like grateful to yourself for.
Ew.
I struggle with that too.
Ew.
Because I want to say, like, I can list things about other people that I'm grateful for all day long, right? I know you don't like gratefulness. That's not your jam.
Honestly, I think the reason I struggled with it so much is because the person we used to work with was talking, like, she was putting in the perspective. I never thought about that. Like, she was putting in the perspective of, like, things you're grateful for, like,
that you
maybe,
have done.
like, your person, yeah, like, personally.
Yeah.
Like, I can always say, like, I'm grateful for my child or whatever.
Yeah. And, like, I'm grateful I found good parking.
Yeah. There
right?
you go.
I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because it's a long drive, I've started listening to audiobooks.
Yes.
Okay. I am listening to audiobooks about women who are leaving high control, patriarchal controlled religions.
Nice.
Oh,
you're going to have to give me a book list.
Gosh. I'm on the third one.
Oh, wow.
It's so crazy.
That is literally because my drive is equivalent to what your drive is to your therapy stuff, or to your outpatient care.
Yeah.
And that's what I do every day is listen to audiobooks, except I listen to total trash. I don't listen to anything that is good for my mind.
But I'm like, I don't know if this is good for my mind because it's like bringing up all these feelings.
Is it? Maybe intersperse it with something that's like trash. Like read one book that is like that.
It's like a train wreck that I can't look away from.
Wait, okay, so not saying you should totally look away from it because it does sound highly interesting.
It's so fascinating.
But you have like a stack of books, right? Like I remember seeing like the Allie Hazelwood.
I have 3 stacks of books, Kim.
Like read like the one of those Allie Hazelwood books in the middle somewhere.
Okay.
Because those books. I'm not saying they're trash, but they are definitely a break for your mind. They're like a vacation for your mind. Yes. You don't have to think too hard too. So maybe just like intersperse it with like one of those books.
Okay. Yeah. The problem is like I have hard copies of books and I'm listening to audiobooks.
I know. I do the same thing.
So.
I have several hard copy books that I have never even cracked, even though I've listened to the audiobooks or even read the ebook. I'll get the ebook from the library and read it, even though I have the hard copy of the book because I like books. They're pretty and they smell good.
I really want to have a library someday.
Well, I have kind of like what you have. Just it's not a library. It's just like a few bookshelves.
I want a library that has like the sliding ladder. And I want to have a fireplace. And I want to have blue velvet
and
wing
like the window seat or whatever.
No, I don't want a window seat.
You don't want a window seat?
No, that's too close to nature.
Oh, see, I love nature. This is one thing we disagree about.
Okay. We kind of got sidetracked.
We did.
But I think is this a good place to cut the tea?
Yeah, that's fine. All right, so today we're talking about kind of our hopes and fears about the podcast because I feel like we've been thinking about it a lot lately since we've done our first few episodes and actually started to share it with some people.
Yes, and I am in my head a little bit.
Yeah, me as well. So we have shared with some people.
A very select few
people. So are there people that you do share with and don't share with?
So everybody that I've shared with, I have told you.
Yes.
So like my family members that are close to me.
Okay.
I'm terrified of my parents hearing this.
Yes.
So I have not even told my mom that I'm doing a podcast.
Yeah. Some friends, right?
2 friends.
2 friends.
Yeah. You've shared with?
I've shared with my husband and...
My husband has not listened.
Okay. And my like core group of friends outside of you, like some friends that I worked with that I have created that I have some friendships with. So it's like 4
You have friends other than
people.
Me?
Yeah, I know.
What? It's okay.
Makes you feel any better. I almost never see them. But yeah, so like I've only shared with those 4 people and then with my husband, and that's it. I don't know. I've been hesitant to share with people because there are certain people that I like am willing to be that kind of vulnerable with. which sounds hypocritical because it's like we're making a podcast.
It's weird though, because the anonymity with sharing into the void is one thing, but sharing with those nearest and dearest to you, it's like intense.
It is.
It feels really vulnerable.
It does feel very vulnerable, especially when you're potentially talking about some of those people. Like you mentioned your parents. Like, I feel the same way. Like, I would not want my parents to hear this probably because I feel like they would maybe be disappointed in it.
You think they'd be disappointed?
I think they would be disappointed in it because of some of the content of what is being shared.
I feel like I'm more worried that my parents would be angry with me.
I guess that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Like, they would be disappointed in it, meaning like they would not like it at all.
Got you. So, are there things that you feel unsure about sharing?
Yeah, so like I know I was saying this to you a little bit earlier, but like I'm unsure about sharing stories about my childhood. Like I'm very unsure about it because like while I find it to be semi-therapeutic and it is the God's honest truth about my life and it is my story.
Yes.
There are, as you said earlier, very real consequences to sharing some of those things. Like there are some things that I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't even know how to share them because I have a massive fear about how it will be received and people thinking I'm a liar or people thinking that I'm exaggerating something and yeah. What about you? Are there things that you are purposefully not sharing or avoiding talking about?
I'm purposefully trying not to share like personal identifiers.
Right, yeah.
If people know me, they know me, that's great. But if some random person stumbles across it, I don't want them to be able to deconstruct my life.
Right, I agree. And I feel like I'm trying to avoid that stuff as well. For the same reasons.
I also try to avoid politics because politics are divisive at this point where we live.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes that can make people not want to listen. Like if you share your political viewpoints, then maybe they won't give you the chance to share about other things.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you want people to remain open, or if we want people to remain open, we kind of have to steer away from that a little bit.
But then part of me thinks like that's part of who I am, right? Am I being disingenuous by not sharing how things are impacting me?
Which I think you can share. I don't know. I guess my opinion on it would be like, my thought is I can share things about who I am as a person without putting a label on it.
That's
so
fair.
I can say like obviously you can kind of tell like my moral beliefs, or I don't know how you would even want to phrase it, like how I feel about certain things without putting a label on it, because I don't necessarily know that those things need a label. Some of it is universal.
Be kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you are unsure about sharing, or is that?
Okay. So going back to what I was saying, this is a little chaotic, but
that's okay. It's okay. Life is chaotic.
It is chaotic. Okay, I guess to sum up what I was saying, and because I wrote this down, and that is that I don't want to feel like others hate me because I'm telling things that were supposed to be kept a secret. I know I've said before that there's like this persona that was put out to people. And that was how my family lived, right? Like we went to church and we were the perfect Christian family, right? We went out to eat and we prayed before every meal and we were the perfect Christian family. We got introduced to people as, the perfect daughters, right? Like I remember every time my parents would introduce me to somebody, they would like share something about me and then people would be like, "Oh, she's so beautiful," whatever. Or like even my grandparents, I don't think knew what was going on in our lives at home. And my mom always used to say this thing. She would say, "Don't air your dirty laundry."
Yeah.
Which I think is maybe like something from their generation.
I was just going to say, that sounds like a generational thing, because I remember going over to my grandparents' house when I was a kid and my parents being like, "Don't talk about this. Don't talk about this. We don't want to air our dirty laundry."
Right. Yeah. And so by doing this podcast, that's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm airing the dirty laundry, because my life had a lot of dirty laundry in it that never got cleaned up. So now I am in the reactive phase of trying to hand wash all that crap.
That's a really good metaphor.
And it, in order to do that, some of that is talking about it. But I also wrote down, okay, so earlier you were saying, and I hope it's okay if I share this,
Go ahead.
is you were saying something about that you felt like some of this stuff you would have to wait until some of the people involved passed away before you ever felt like you could make it public.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the story of Loretta Young and Clark Gable. So Clark Gable, obviously very famous actor. He was in Gone with the Wind. He played, what's the Rhett Butler. Yes, yeah. He played Rhett Butler. But very, very famous actor. So Loretta Young was this woman that he played in a movie with. I don't even remember the name of the movie, but he played in this movie with. And during the movie, she got pregnant, or not during the movie, but while they were recording this movie, like she got pregnant with Clark Gable's child. With his daughter. And she said that she kept it hidden because she knew that the company she worked for would make her have an abortion, or that they would encourage her to have an abortion, and she didn't want that. So she took like a quote unquote vacation and like to hide it. And she even did, I guess, an interview where she was like in her bed, like covered up in blankets and stuff, and she pretended like she had an illness. Yeah, to like hide that she was pregnant.
Dang.
So when her daughter was born, the daughter went to like orphanages for the first 19 months of her life.
Oh my gosh.
And then she was adopted by Loretta Young, by her biological mother, adopted her back. But she didn't know that that was her biological mother. She just thought that she was adopted. So when she was like, I think in the story it said she was like in her mid-30s, she was like together with this guy and they were like talking about getting married, and he mentioned, you know that it's a well-known secret in Hollywood that your father is Clark Gable. And she was like, what? And so she went to her mother and like confronted her about it, and her mom kind of like spilled the beans. Loretta Young, the mom's, kind of spilled the beans about it and was like, yes, that happened, blah, 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 blah. Well, later in her life, she decided that she wanted to like make this story public, right?
Okay.
And so she talked to a biographer and did an autobiography. Like somebody helped her write it.
Like a memoir?
Yes. But she had a condition that it could not be published until after her death, because she didn't want any of this information of these like stories about her having had an affair with Clark Gable and Clark Gable being the father of this child, because this child, like Clark Gable never owned he never acknowledged, like ownership of this child. And like she didn't even know that that was her father, or that her mother was her real mother until she was in her 30s. And then the story goes on to say, and again, this was not shared until after her death, when Loretta Young was like she was like 83 or something like that. She was watching I think it was Larry King, with her son and her daughter-in-law, and Larry King was talking about date rape, and she was like, she listened to it, Loretta Young did, she listened to it, and then she asked her daughter-in-law, what is that? Can you explain that to me? And so her daughter-in-law very patiently, and she said this was a very proper prim young lady, like Loretta Young was raised in a nunnery, like she lived in a nunnery.
Dang.
So she was very prim proper young lady, and so her daughter-in-law had to explain to her in like terms that a woman that was 83 years old, because like at this time, like you have to keep in mind, like when she was younger, like date rape was not a thing, like it didn't exist, like it was like it's the woman's job to like fend off the man, right? Like you have to be a good Christian girl or whatever, protect your virtue, yes. And so after she gets done explaining to her mother-in-law what date rape is, her mother-in-law Loretta Young says, that's what happened between me and Clark.
Oh my gosh.
So like, and again, this was all kept a secret until after her death. It was released posthumously, her biography was.
Oh my gosh.
So, it just reminded me of that. Like when you were saying like.
And then part of me is like, that's like, why do I have such a fear?
Yes.
Of like, I guess because consequences, right?
Right. And I think, right, that's the way she was feeling, is like she couldn't share this horrible secret because, so I feel like for people who have trauma, the people who are the perpetuators of that trauma, you still are a little bit afraid of what might happen, right? Even if they've gotten better themselves. Like I wouldn't say that my parents continue to victimize me to this day. I would say that we have a much better relationship, that they have mellowed out a lot in their older age. Like they're not necessarily, they're not necessarily like emotionally abusive to me anymore. Obviously they're not physically abusive, but like they're not necessarily emotionally abusive anymore. And like I said, they started saying I love you to me like when they hang up the phone and stuff. So our relationship is kind of getting better. I don't know. So it's very scary to think about.
Yeah, it is. Especially because in my family, we don't talk about it.
Yeah, same.
Like I was estranged from my parents for 17 years.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, have I ever told you the story about the dog?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. So my parents got a dog after I left.
Okay.
Like after I ran away from home.
Okay.
To this day, my mom will be like, I don't know if you remember this dog, but da 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 da
Yeah.
da. And like talk about the dog and like talk about like I knew the dog. I never knew the dog. I
You
ran
never
away from
met the
home.
dog.
I never met the dog. I was estranged from them the dog's whole life.
Yeah.
And she will not acknowledge that
You
I
guys
guess,
were estranged.
yeah.
That's hard.
And I don't know how to deal with it. And I'm terrified.
Well, okay, so my husband asked me about that because I was kind of having a mini panic attack earlier today.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't say full blown, but I was very much like, I need to stop, take a break, turn everything off, and sit quietly for a minute.
Okay.
And then I had to talk to Tyler about it. But like, one of the things he was saying is like, well, you have two choices with this. He said, you can stop the podcast, which he said, I don't think is a good idea because he recognizes that I'm having a good time and like that it is healing to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
He said, you can talk to your parents about it. And as soon as he said that, I was like, that's a negative. Yes. Yeah, my butthole clenched.
No, like, does your whole like my whole body clenches?
It's like
you can feel it.
Yes,
contracting.
there's like a physical reaction to I am not doing that.
It's visceral.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and so like and when he asked me, he was like, well, why? I was like, because, and this, I do not mean this to be an insult, but like, my parents are not emotionally mature enough to have that conversation. Like, I would be gaslighted if I had that conversation with them because I've asked them about it before. Like, how come we've never talked about this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, just made vague, like, I don't have a full on conversation. And my mom will be like, well, your dad has talked to you about it. And I'm like,
no, I would remember that.
Never happened. Yeah, exactly. So there definitely is like, I don't know, like it, like you said, it's not something that my family talks about. It sounds like you're kind of in the same boat. Like you don't.
It's like you're supposed to forgive and forget and move on.
Yeah,
except
like
I can't
forget
because I have lingering trauma from it.
Yeah. I don't know. And that's the thing too, is I'm going to say is like, I have reached a point where I've like forgiven them, but I feel like I will say even saying that I've forgiven them, I think that if I said that to them, they would be like, well, we didn't do anything that needs to be forgiven. They'd be like, we were just parents trying our best. But that's the thing. That's why I have been able to forgive them.
Because they were trying
I know
their best.
that they were trying their best. They weren't modeled. We talked about this last time. Like they weren't necessarily modeled the best. So like the whole when you know better, you do better thing.
Yep.
Like how were they supposed to do better? Like they were raised probably in the same environment. Like they were holding on to their parents' trauma the same way that we are kind of holding on to ours.
And I think honestly, if I am being honest, I think my mom did better. I think she tried.
I feel like my mom has gotten better with age. So like when she was in the hospital, I don't know if you remember a couple years ago when she was in the hospital, like long term, she had that stuff with her back, like she had a back surgery.
Okay.
She was really struggling, like because she was in the hospital for probably like 2 months. It was a long time. Like she had this surgery, the surgery failed. There were complications from it. I don't even know why she was recommended to take the surgery, honestly. Because in my opinion, she wasn't a good candidate for it because of her weight and her age. But anyway, while she was in the hospital, she was getting very depressed. And so like she was there alone, and my dad was trying to stay over when he could, but he works like every day. So me and my dad had come up with a schedule with like me, my dad, and both of my sisters and my brother to like rotate days with her. Well, both of my other sisters and my brother were like, we can't do this. So it ended up just being me and my dad like rotating. So there were nights that she would have to be alone. And I remember talking to the social worker and saying like, I think that she's depressed, which is very common for people who are long-term in the hospital anyway.
Yeah.
But I tried to tell her, I was like, while my mom has been to therapy before, because she was in therapy when I was younger, but it was short-term, she's not necessarily open to the idea of therapy. Like she doesn't necessarily look at that as like something that's needed. Because remember how you were talking about like feeling weak or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's what it is with her, if she feels like that's some kind of weakness or something, but whatever. So the social worker went and talked to her about it, and she was like, your daughter told me maybe you're struggling with this. And my mom actually accepted the help and like agreed to a PRN medication, like the same. I don't know if you have I think you have the same PRN that I do. So hers was exactly the same, but she agreed to taking it, and she was like, yeah, I will take it. I am really struggling. And like for her to even own up to that and like agree to do the medication, and she even talked to me about it, like about her fears about being in the hospital and not getting better and stuff. And
wow.
Yeah, I know. So like I agree. I think as my mom and dad get older, they do get a little bit healthier. My mom so more so than my dad, but
yeah, I think for my parents, just my mom was raised in a really strict, very religious environment. My dad was not. And my mom always said that she wasn't going to raise her children how she was raised.
yeah.
When my dad was away from home, my home was very different than when my dad was there. My dad is a convert to my parents' religion. And sometimes they say converts are the most zealous.
Yeah.
Because
it's like by choice rather than by force.
Yeah. I'd never thought of it like that before. But yeah, I just know it's been hard reading, listening to some of the memoirs of women who've left patriarchal religions and high demand religion, because I'm like, oh, yep, that happened to me. Oh, yep, that happened to me. Oh, yep, that happened to me. And whereas I feel like my mom is more sympathetic, I don't know that my dad is. I think my dad would still buckle down and say he made the right choices.
Yeah.
I think my mom does her best to shield us from him, if that even makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think that's, I don't know. I feel like I've heard that that's very common for women who are in a situation where they don't agree, that they try to shield their kids from the worst of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It was hard. It was weird.
Yeah.
So, anyways, sidetrack.
No, I mean, it was on topic.
So when we talk about fears about the podcast, I'm afraid that if my parents ever listened to it, they would disown me again.
Yeah.
For talking about stuff.
I am afraid of the same thing, that they would not talk to me anymore. And with them being at the age that they're at, that scares me, because I don't want them to pass and me to feel like there is something unresolved.
Yes. It's hard.
It is hard.
And my mom likes to joke that my dad's family checks out when they turn 70 and my dad's 68 and he's winding down. And I don't know that that's true, but it does concern me.
Right, yeah.
You know?
You don't want the last
I don't want the last interaction to be a bitter one.
Yeah.
Or an acrimonious one.
There's this part of me, though, that revolts against that. I don't know if you feel that way at all, but there's this part of me that hates it is definitely a fear, but then there's this part of me that is hates that I'm afraid of that, because I'm am I still allowing emotional abuse then? If I'm afraid to share my story because I could be punished for it.
Yeah.
Am I still allowing them to have this power? Because one of the fears that I have about it is that they'll look at my story and they'll say, well, the lens of a child is much different than that of an adult. Because that has been said to me before.
Okay.
My mom will say well, you got to keep in mind, you were a child and children look at a lot of things differently. And it's I don't argue with her about it. I just let that go. I am 37 years old. I am a parent. I'm not looking at it through the lens of a child anymore. I'm looking at it through the lens of an adult.
With a child.
With a child that would never treat her child like that.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying that they knew better than to do that. I'm saying they did they did the best they could with what they had. But at the same time, don't gaslight me when I'm trying to I don't know, there's that fear of that estrangement from them, but then also there's a part of me that's if I allow that fear to control what I tell of my story, then am I allowing them to continue to emotionally abuse me even as an adult?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And part of me wonders, for myself, if I'm somehow living inauthentically out of fear.
Yeah.
You know?
Because of your relationship with your parents? Or?
Yeah. I think my parents know I don't go to church, but I don't know. They live far away. How are they going to know?
I feel like we talked about this a little bit in the religion episode.
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit.
And I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I am afraid. It is because I'm afraid. I don't want them to, I don't know. I don't want them to stop talking to me. I don't want them to hate me, right? I want to be able to move past that stuff. But Are you really moving past it?
Or are you just shuffling it under the rug?
Right, yeah.
Sloughing it under the rug.
But I don't know that they would want it anywhere else.
Sweeping it under the rug. There we go. That's the phrase, the turn of phrase. Oh my gosh. I couldn't even put it right into words. But yeah.
Listen, my parents are master sweepers. Okay.
Swiffer it up there.
Yeah.
All right. So then we've talked a lot about what our fears are, but what do you Have you thought about like impacts positively? Like, do you have hopes for the podcast?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, I don't think either one of us, and maybe this is not true for you, but I don't think either one of us would be even sitting here doing this if we didn't have some hopes for it despite the fears, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hope, like, I don't know, there's this part of me that even though I'm terrified, I kind of hope that it does get like really popular and like people listen to it and stuff, even though it's like we haven't even released like 9
Like, we're still scared to share it, but hopefully it'll get popular.
Maybe one day. Yeah, exactly. But
I just say we're just banking content first.
Yeah, I know. And I think that is a good like strategy. But I don't know. Obviously, I do have some of that hope or I wouldn't be here. What about you?
My hope is that, well, twofold, because part of me was like, I want to remember this time of my life.
Yeah.
Right? This is a very dark time in my life.
Yeah.
And I want to remember it how I was feeling at the time, not it with the rose glasses of hindsight.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, I want to use it to document. But the other part is I think it's relatable.
I think so too.
And I think reading or listening does an audiobook count as reading?
I count it as reading.
I don't know that it's actually reading, but I call it reading.
You know that challenge we're doing, the 50 books in a year? I've been counting my audiobooks as
I'll count my audiobooks too then. Because I'm consuming content.
You are.
Right?
And what does it matter if you're the one reading it or somebody's reading it to you? It's still...
The teacher in me is like, a reading accommodation nullifies the reading test of read aloud.
But maybe we need the accommodation.
I do need the accommodation.
I was telling you earlier, this is an ADA protected class. We are in an ADA protected class. This is our accommodations, Sarah.
No, but just like reading the books that I have been reading about women escaping patriarchal religion has been so impactful. Because I just, like, I identify with it so much in my core.
So you're kind of hoping you can be that for somebody else.
Yes. I'm hoping that, like, by talking about our mental health, by talking about where we came from, we can have a positive impact. We can be, like, we're doing work, right? And that is a positive thing. So maybe that can be a positive for somebody else.
Yeah. I think I said this in maybe the first episode that we recorded, but like, even if I'm screaming into the void, right? Like, even if it's just one person that's listening to it, that's kind of my hope too, is that maybe even for one person that, you know, like in my mind, I kind of have this thought of like some woman driving to work, listening to our podcast and hearing one of us say like, we are struggling to, you know, even if it's something stupid, like we're struggling to check our email or something like that somebody will hear that and be like, oh, so maybe how I'm feeling is not that I am abnormal somehow.
Yeah.
It's because maybe I just need some help.
Yeah.
And be able to recognize that that's okay. Like that we're maybe taking some of the stigma off of that.
That's true. Hey, I showered today.
Oh, good. Congratulations.
Washed my hair, dealt with it, did all the things.
I did not shower today.
That's okay.
I showered last night though, so I feel like that counts.
That so count. But I asked my mom today, like, because I remember my mom being in a really, really deep depression when I was in high school.
Really?
She wouldn't call it a depression. She would say it was burnout.
Yeah.
But are burnout and depression the same?
I think they can be. I don't
or they
think
like present really similarly.
But I think they can be. Depends on the person.
Yeah. I think she was depressed because she'd just left the home that she'd lived in for her entire life and moved countries and wasn't particularly thrilled about our situation.
Right.
But that's me diagnosing her. So I'm not a medical professional.
Right.
But anyways, I asked her today if like when she was having a really hard time, did she ever have a hard time showering? And she said, I bet that would be really hard. And I said, no, I'm asking about you. Or like when we lived in Michigan, like, did you have a hard time with that? And she's like, honestly, I've blocked that out and I don't remember a lot about it. And I was like, interesting.
I thought about that. Like that it's that so like one of the coping, I don't know if you even call it a coping, but like I pick at myself. I know we've talked about this.
Yeah.
My mom picks at her scalp, like literally exactly the same as I do. I've wondered about that. Like, is it because it's modeled or is it because it's almost like genetic? Maybe like
you have a genetic predisposition to something.
Yeah, to deal with things a certain way, like to block it out.
Yeah.
to block stuff out, because I know you said that's something that you do.
I totally do.
Or to have like dermatillomania or whatever, like is that genetic? Like the way that we learn to cope, is it genetic or is it because that is what we saw?
It's probably a combination, right?
Probably is a combination, honestly. It's interesting to think about, though.
It is. And I was so surprised when she told me, because she was just like, I don't remember much. It was just a blur.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And then I have my daughter spilling the tea with the neighbors about how hard her life is.
About you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We need to get back to that. Maybe we can interview them, like you said, on the parenting episode. I wonder if we overthink things sometimes.
Oh my gosh. Do we overthink things sometimes?
That's why I said it. That was a bit sarcastically.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Oh, so hopefully our little baby podcast grows up to be healthy and happy.
Yes. I hope when you edit this, it's not total chaos.
I think this one might be a little more chaotic than the other ones, and I think that's okay too.
Okay. But I will say, it is genuine, because you and I were talking about this earlier. We were texting back and forth because one of the episodes that, at least for me, one of the episodes that we just did, when I was listening back to it, the edited version that we were potentially going to release, it really hit me that sharing some of this information, like I knew it. And, like, I knew that there could be consequences.
You knew.
Yes.
But then, like, emotionally, you felt it.
Emotionally, I felt it. And so I think even if it is a little chaotic, that's okay, because it is very genuine. Because it is something that...
This is our authentic life.
Right. It has been weighing on us, and...
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about it.
And I think part of me thinks, like, when you talk about something, you destigmatize it.
I agree.
Right? Because how is abuse continued? It's continued because it's secret.
Right. Like you pretend like it doesn't exist.
Right? Like it's allowed to continue because if people knew what was happening, someone would step in and stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Because we know that it's morally wrong.
We know that it's wrong. There's a reason that people, and like, I don't like using the word abuse when I talk about my parents. I hate that. It terrifies me.
You should talk to my therapist about that.
It terrifies me because I'm like, you always think of an abuser as a bad person.
Yes.
And I don't like what my parents did, but I don't want to say that my parents are bad people.
So here's what my therapist says about that. And this is what I tell myself when I'm thinking about that, is that good people can sometimes do bad things. Like behavior doesn't make somebody a good person and a bad person. And also what defines a good person and a bad person.
That's true.
Like about when you know better. I remember
when you know better, do better.
Do better. But how are people that don't know better supposed to do better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good people can do bad things. Right. So just because somebody has, and when we were talking about it, she said, okay, you were a teacher at a behavior school, right? She's like, if one of your kids was having an acting out behavior because they had have some kind of trauma and they emotionally don't know how to deal with that, right? And so you say this kid has like a triggering event and they like flip desks or whatever. Like, does that make them a bad kid necessarily just because they had this like behavior? And maybe they even hurt somebody. Like maybe they flipped a desk and hurt somebody, or maybe they said something really mean to somebody because they were having some kind of triggering event. Like, does that make them a bad kid? And I was thinking about that and I was like, no, like it doesn't make them a bad kid. They're a victim of trauma and they're dealing with it the only way that they know how. So I kind of think about it like that with my own parents.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that helps at all, but...
Kind of. It's hard. It's hard to reconcile all the pieces and parts.
It is.
It's a very complex situation.
It is. And there's no easy answer necessarily to how to deal with it or how to address it.
And I'm having big feelings about it.
Me too. So it is authentic.
So it's authentic.
It is authentic.
That's all we got for today.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode of Having a Mentee Be with Sarah and Kim. We wish you good mental health and we hope you'll meet us here again next time. Don't forget to like or subscribe or leave a positive review or whatever it is you do for podcasts.
We hope you have heard something in this episode that you have connected with and you've been mildly entertained. If you are dealing with your own mental health challenges, we both encourage you to reach out to a trusted provider or call or text 988.